what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Hopefully we had a wonderful weekend, and hopefully getting back to work this morning wasn't too difficult for all of us. We do have some severe weather to talk about today, and I think tomorrow really could be a sneaky day with even a bit of a tornado potential for areas further east than what we've seen a lot of that severe weather over the past couple weeks. So places like Kentucky, Tennessee, and the Carolinas, especially the Western Carolinas, could really have some pretty, strong storms move their way on through tomorrow and tomorrow evening. So that's really going to be the big focus of today's video, but we are also going to touch on kind of that longer range forecast a little bit too, and kind of just prepare you for what we can expect going through this work week and into the coming weekend. So with all that said, again, if there's any questions I maybe don't quite answer in this video, feel free to ask me in the comments, and I will definitely make sure to get around to answering those as soon as I see them. I think with all that said, though, I think we are good to go, and we can go ahead and start the video now. So we'll start here by looking at radar like we normally do, and you can see we do have a kind of active area of some showers down here into the southeast and even over sections of Kansas and Missouri this afternoon, and also even down through southern Texas as well. So we definitely have some areas of some unsettled weather out there. Up here into sections of northern Alabama, we actually have some stronger storms. So we do have a severe thunderstorm warning right now into northern Alabama as some of these storms continue to develop and mature. But today's severe weather threat is actually kind of over this area of the Ozarks. So you'll see that on our Storm Prediction Center map for today here in a minute whenever we take a look at that. And then also, like we talked about in Texas, we have some flood advisories and even a flash flood warning out there for sections of southern Texas this afternoon, as we just had this continual flow of some of this Gulf moisture working its way inland, and that has helped to allow some of these storms to really persist over the past couple days or so. So with that look at radar, we can go and take a look at today's Storm Prediction Center outlined area. And again, we have that area over the Ozarks, but today we did also add in this area over northern Alabama, extreme northwestern Georgia, and kind of central and eastern Tennessee. So, or excuse me, western Tennessee rather. So, we definitely have that chance of severe storms today, but I really think tomorrow is going to be the big day for severe weather. As you can see, we already have this slight risk issued for big sections of eastern Kentucky, eastern Tennessee, the western Carolinas, even western Virginia. So really could get some stronger storms tomorrow along the I-85 corridor and kind of westbound along I-40 all the way back towards Knoxville, Nashville, and even down through central and southeastern Kentucky, as well as central Virginia and especially southwestern Virginia. So this could even be upgraded to an enhanced risk tomorrow. Wouldn't surprise me too much. And we even have the ingredients for some tornadoes tomorrow. So we're definitely going to want to take a look at that as well as we take a look at our future cast here. So we'll start here by taking a look at what we're expecting tonight. And again, you'll notice we have this area of continued storms and strong storms at that here into northern Alabama, central Tennessee, and all the way back towards the Ozarks as well. So that will continue through the next couple of hours before eventually kind of those storms fizzle out going into the overnight, at least the severity. We will still have some rain left over here in the sections of Tennessee, especially western Tennessee there, and sections of Missouri and northern Arkansas. But as we go into tomorrow, you'll notice this low pressure begins to kind of deepen over sections of Missouri, and as this kind of treks eastbound, that is going to bring that chance of stronger storms with it tomorrow afternoon. So I'll move this into about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and you can see we have this area of stronger storms finally beginning to mature into areas of Kentucky, and even some storms in front of this forming into areas further to the south and to the east, and we'll definitely want to watch those as well. But due to the wind energy with this low pressure, we have that chance of tornadoes tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow won't be just kind of a pop-up storm kind of day where the storms pop up and then with the lack of wind shear, they just collapse back down on top of themselves. I don't expect that tomorrow nearly as much, as we have enough wind shear to kind of allow these storms to go pretty far distances while keeping some of their severity. So again, that area will eventually even sweep through the western Carolinas, through the higher elevations of North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, places like Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, and other areas along the I-85 corridor there. And again, that tornado threat could even linger into the upstate of South Carolina and western North Carolina going into tomorrow evening before finally these storms begin to fizzle out. Going into later tomorrow night, kind of past the midnight hour. I think we really should be done with that severe weather threat before going into our Wednesday afternoon, where we have another chance at maybe some afternoon thunderstorms before Thursday rolls around and things begin to improve for many of us. So another map I'm going to show you here is a significant tornado parameter map, and this just shows where we will have those ingredients tomorrow for some of those storms capable of producing a tornado. And really, once you get kind of in this yellow and red range on the key, and especially that purple range, that's whenever the ingredients are really kind of start to get a bit worrying. And I do think some of us will see some of those ingredients get to that dangerous level tomorrow. So again, today, not much of a tornado threat, maybe a little bit of one into northern Arkansas this evening as those storms continue. But once we get into tomorrow afternoon, you'll notice this big flare-up of those ingredients through sections of Kentucky here. And some of these storms will kind of get into that orange and reddish range here into central and southern Kentucky. So definitely for you folks in Kentucky, be careful tomorrow. Make sure you have a way to get those warnings. But as we go into the evening, and we have a little bit more of that cape to work with, or that instability, we have a big area or a big corridor of those ingredients along I-85 from really kind of the Seneca, South Carolina area all the way up I-85 through Charlotte up towards Greensboro, even having the chance of those ingredients that could produce tornadoes tomorrow evening before, again, that fizzles out once we get closer to the midnight hour tomorrow. Now, some good news going further into the long range here is I do see a bit of a moderation in this kind of stormy, severe weather pattern that we're seeing currently. So we'll move this into Wednesday afternoon. We will likely have some low pressure here over the southeast, and this could produce a couple of strong storms, but nonetheless, definitely some afternoon thunderstorms on Wednesday for those folks, kind of especially south of I-85, I would say, having the highest chance of that. But once we get into Thursday afternoon, this is when things really begin to improve, and that is all going to be because of this high pressure here that is going to scoot on in and help to bring in some drier and cooler air down the spine of the Appalachians and through the mid-Atlantic. And as we continue to progress towards this weekend, I do expect this high pressure to hold on a little bit and keeping these drier conditions in the mid-Atlantic. But while that's ongoing, we'll still likely have low pressure hanging out here along the Gulf of Mexico and going into this weekend, even along the southeastern coast. So kind of inland areas here of the eastern half of the country, it looks pretty nice in the medium to long range, but those coastal areas through, I would say, New Orleans, through southern sections of the country, through Florida, up through Savannah, Charleston, Wilmington, Fayetteville, even places like Greenville, North Carolina, likely continuing to kind of hold on to a bit of a wetter pattern going into this weekend. So if you have beach plans, that might not be the best going on into kind of the second half of this week, but I don't expect to wash out the entire time, just a higher chance of rain through those areas compared to places further inland. Now, as we do get into the kind of second half of this weekend, I do expect a cold front to finally cross through and help to kind of move some of these coastal lows out of the picture, and we kind of just get good old-fashioned high pressure to settle in going into the start of the following week, hopefully. So that is kind of what the models are hinting at right now, and hopefully, we do get some relief from this humidity and stormy pattern for many of us. But for you folks kind of there along the coast, from the Carolinas down through Georgia, Florida, and coastal areas of the Gulf Coast, also likely still holding on to some of those showers and storms through the medium and long range. So looking at this on the precipitation map, again, we'll move this ahead into time. Again, Tuesday we have some of those stronger storms. Wednesday afternoon, still some storms here along the Gulf of Mexico and through the southeastern coastline, as we talked about, especially areas along I-20 and south of there. But as we get into Thursday afternoon, again, this high pressure kind of keeps us relatively dry here from, I'd say, Columbia, South Carolina, through Greenville, South Carolina, up the mid-Atlantic and into the northeast. But places south and west of there into kind of Charleston, Savannah, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Mobile, even Birmingham, potentially even as far north as Atlanta and Nashville, still dealing with some storms on Thursday afternoon, and likely even into Friday afternoon for you folks here along the southeastern coastline from Myrtle Beach up towards Wilmington and through the Outer Banks, having some storms on Friday afternoon as well. Now, again, places other than the coastline, I do expect us to be relatively dry after this kind of severe weather threat we go and see tomorrow and Wednesday. But once we kind of get later into this weekend, we could reintroduce those precipitation chances for areas further inland as we get this relatively weak cold front to swing on through the region. So after that swings on through, things should really clear out. This is going into next Monday, and you'll notice relatively very dry here, other than, again, potentially some storms here along the Gulf Coast. But other than that, it looks much nicer going into the long range. Another way to look at that here is our dew point map. And again, once we get into kind of Thursday afternoon, you'll notice these not nearly as muggy conditions here from those places I talked about up through the Northeast and down through the Mid-Atlantic. But here along the Gulf Coast, still relatively oppressive, honestly, going into Thursday afternoon. And that will likely continue into Friday afternoon as well here. Before going into this weekend, going into Sunday, I do think for many of us, we reintroduce some of that muggy weather before this cold front kind of finally sweeps on through and we really dry things out for a larger section of the country going into the following week. So we'll definitely watch out for that, and again, hopefully we get a bit of relief here in the medium to long range. And the Climate Prediction Center definitely sees that as well here, with a higher probability of those below average temperatures here into the southern tier of the country going through that 6 to 10 day time period. So really from this coming Sunday down through the beginning of the following week. And again, those precipitation chances still drying out in the interior, but still relatively above average precipitation here along the southeastern coastline. And I would even extend this down through sections of the Gulf Coast as well. So definitely watching out for that. So again, got some severe weather tonight and especially tomorrow to watch out for, so definitely make sure you have a way to get those warnings tomorrow afternoon. And after that, we should begin to clear out going into the medium and long range and have a bit of a more pleasant pattern in store. So again, with all that said, I hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you all tomorrow.